The words hit me like a slap across the face. I stood there in my living room, staring at my 32-year-old son Michael as he loaded another suitcase into his car. His two children, Emma and Daniel, sat on my couch watching cartoons, completely unaware that their father was about to disappear from their lives again. "Did you just say what I think you said?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and rage. Michael turned around, that same careless grin on his face that he'd worn since he was a teenager, getting away with something he shouldn't. "Come on, Dad. Don't be dramatic. The kids love it here. You've got the space, the time, and honestly, you're better at this parenting thing than I ever was."
"Better at it,"
I repeated, feeling my blood pressure rising. "Michael, these are your children. Your responsibility." He laughed. Actually laughed. It was a sound that would haunt me for months to come. "I'm going to live my life and you take care of my kids. That's the rule." He said it like he was announcing the weather, like it was the most natural thing in the world. "That's not a rule," I shouted, no longer caring if the kids heard me. "That's abandonment." Michael's girlfriend, a 23-year-old named Stacy who I'd met exactly twice, honked the horn from the driveway. He grabbed his last bag and headed for the door. "I'll send money when I can," he called over his shoulder. "Tell the kids I love them." And just like that, he was gone. The door closed, the car engine started, and within seconds, the sound faded into the distance. I stood there, frozen, trying to process what had just happened. Behind me, I heard Emma's small voice. "Grandpa, is Daddy coming back for dinner?" I turned around and looked at my grandchildren. Emma was 7, with her mother's dark curls and her father's green eyes. Daniel was 5, all energy and questions and missing front teeth. Their mother, Michael's ex-wife Jennifer, had died in a car accident 2 years ago. Since then, the kids had bounced between Michael's apartment and my house, but lately, the stays at my place had gotten longer and longer. I forced a smile onto my face. "No, sweetheart. Daddy had to go away for work." It was a lie, but what else could I say? That night, after I'd put the kids to bed, I sat in my kitchen with a cup of coffee I didn't drink and a phone I kept staring at. I wanted to call someone, but who? My wife Margaret had passed away 5 years ago. My daughter lived in Seattle with her own family, struggling to make ends meet with 3 kids of her own. My friends from work had all retired and moved to Florida or Arizona, chasing sunshine and golf courses. I was 71 years old. I had raised my children. I had done my time. I had been looking forward to quiet mornings, afternoon naps, and the freedom to do absolutely nothing if I wanted to. Instead, I was starting over from square one. The next morning, I woke up to Daniel jumping on my bed at 6 in the morning. "Grandpa, Grandpa, I'm hungry. Can we have pancakes? Emma says you make the best pancakes in the whole world." I groaned, every joint in my body protesting as I sat up. "Okay, buddy. Pancakes it is." In the kitchen, I mixed batter while Emma set the table. She was unusually quiet, and I could see the wheels turning in her young mind. "Grandpa," she said finally, "is Daddy ever coming back?" I paused, spatula in hand. I'd never been good at lying, especially to children. "I don't know, honey. I really don't know." "It's okay," she said, in a voice far too mature for 7 years old. "We have you." That simple statement broke something inside me. These children had already lost their mother. Now their father had chosen to walk away. And here they were, trusting me to pick up the pieces. The first few weeks were brutal. I'd forgotten how exhausting children could be. There were school drop-offs and pickups, homework battles, dinner negotiations, bedtime stories, and the constant noise that comes with having young kids in the house. My neat, orderly retirement life was completely upended. I burned dinner more times than I could count. I forgot about Emma's parent-teacher conference and had to reschedule. I bought the wrong kind of bread, the wrong kind of juice, the wrong kind of everything, according to Daniel's very specific preferences. But slowly, we found our rhythm. I learned that Emma liked her sandwiches cut diagonally, not straight across. I discovered that Daniel would eat any vegetable as long as it was covered in cheese. I figured out that bedtime went smoother if I read 2 stories instead of 1, and that Saturday morning cartoons were sacred. Michael called once in those first few weeks. It was brief. "Hey Dad, just checking in. How are the kids? How are the kids?" I repeated, my voice cold. "How do you think they are, Michael?"
Their father abandoned them.
"Don't be like that," he said. "I'm just taking some time to figure things out. Stacy and I are in California right now. It's beautiful here. We might stay for a while." "Michael, these children need you."
They have you, Dad.
"You're doing great. I gotta go, we're about to head to the beach. I'll call again soon." He didn't call again for another month. Meanwhile, I was drowning. The medical bills alone were staggering. Kids needed checkups, dental appointments, new shoes every few months because they wouldn't stop growing. Emma needed glasses. Daniel needed speech therapy because he couldn't pronounce his R's correctly. I'd been living on my pension and Social Security, comfortable enough for 1 person but stretched impossibly thin for 3. I started eating less so the kids could eat more. I turned the heat down at night and wore extra sweaters. I canceled my cable subscription, my newspaper delivery, every small luxury I'd allowed myself. One afternoon, I was sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by bills when Emma came home from school with a permission slip for a field trip to the Science Museum. It cost $45. "Can I go, Grandpa?" she asked, her eyes bright with hope. "My teacher says it's going to be the best trip of the year." I looked at the stack of overdue notices in front of me. I looked at my granddaughter's eager face. I signed the permission slip.
"Of course you can go, sweetheart."
That night, I called my daughter Sarah in Seattle. "Dad, I wish I could help," she said, and I could hear the genuine distress in her voice. "But Tom just got his hours cut at work, and with 3 kids of our own." "I know, honey. I wasn't calling to ask for money. I just needed to talk to someone." "What about Michael? Isn't he sending you anything?" "He sent $200 last month. It barely covered groceries for 2 weeks." Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Dad, you can't keep doing this alone. Have you thought about maybe, I don't know, talking to a lawyer or something?
Making this arrangement official."
"And what? Sue my own son for child support?" "He's the one who abandoned his children, Dad.
Not you."
After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room and thought about Margaret. What would she say if she could see me now? Would she be proud that I was taking care of our grandchildren? Or would she tell me I was being a fool, letting Michael take advantage of me? I knew what she'd say. She'd tell me to do whatever it took to keep those kids safe and loved. So that's what I did. I picked up extra work where I could find it. I started doing handyman jobs for neighbors, fixing leaky faucets and painting fences. I tutored kids in math on Saturday afternoons. Every penny I made went straight into the jar marked Emma and Daniel. The kids never complained. They never asked for expensive toys or designer clothes. Emma wore hand-me-downs from a neighbor's daughter and called them vintage. Daniel was happy as long as he had his tattered stuffed dinosaur and someone to play catch with. 6 months passed. Then a year. Michael's calls became less frequent. Every few months, I'd get a text with a picture of him and Stacy at some beach or mountain range or city skyline. "Living our best life," the captions would say. Meanwhile, I was living their life for them. Then came the school Christmas program. Emma had the lead role in the holiday play. She'd been practicing her lines for weeks, nervously reciting them over dinner every night. On the night of the performance, I sat in the crowded gymnasium with all the other parents and grandparents, my phone in hand to record every moment. Emma was brilliant. She delivered every line perfectly, her voice clear and confident. When she took her bow at the end, she searched the crowd until her eyes found mine. She smiled and I waved back, my heart nearly bursting with pride. After the show, as parents crowded around their children with flowers and cameras, Emma ran up to me and threw her arms around my waist. "Did you see me, Grandpa?
Did I do good?
You did amazing, sweetheart.
I'm so proud of you."
I wish Daddy could have seen it, she said quietly. I knelt down, ignoring the protest from my knees, and looked her in the eye. Your daddy doesn't know what he's missing. But I'm here, and I saw every single second, and you were perfect. Another parent nearby gave me a sympathetic smile. I'd gotten used to those looks, the mixture of pity and admiration from people who knew my situation. The school principal knew. The teachers knew. The other parents knew. I was the 72-year-old man raising 2 young children alone. That Christmas was lean. I couldn't afford the expensive toys the kids had asked for. Instead, I got creative. I built Daniel a wooden fort in the backyard, spending hours in the garage with what I got for free from a construction site. For Emma, I framed all the drawings she'd made throughout the year into a gallery wall in her bedroom. Christmas morning, I waited nervously as they opened their presents. Would they be disappointed? Would they compare their gifts to what their friends got?
Daniel's eyes went wide when he saw the fort.
"You built this?"
"For me. Every nail and board," I said.
Emma walked into her room and stood in front of her gallery wall, tears streaming down her face. "Grandpa, it's perfect. It's the best present anyone has ever given me." We spent Christmas Day playing in Daniel's fort and admiring Emma's artwork. We had hot chocolate and watched Christmas movies. We ate leftover turkey sandwiches because I couldn't afford a ham. And it was one of the best Christmases I'd ever had. That night, after the kids were asleep, Michael finally called. "Merry Christmas, Dad. How are my kids?" "Your kids," I said, my voice sharp. "Michael, do you have any idea what day it is? It's 7 o'clock at night on Christmas. You couldn't call this morning." Stacy and I were busy. We went skiing in Colorado. "It was amazing, Dad. You should see the mountains here." Something inside me snapped. "I can't see the mountains, Michael, because I'm here raising your children. I'm 72 years old. I should be seeing mountains. I should be traveling and relaxing and enjoying my retirement. Instead, I'm packing school lunches and helping with homework and working extra jobs just to keep food on the table." "Dad, I appreciate everything you're doing." "You appreciate it? You appreciate it." My voice was rising, but I didn't care anymore. "Michael, Emma had the lead in her school play last week. Did you know that?" "No, of course you didn't, because you don't call. You don't ask. You don't care." Daniel lost his first tooth. Emma got straight A's on her report card. They're growing up, and you're missing all of it. Look, I'm not ready to be a dad, okay? I never was. Jennifer and we never planned for kids. It just happened. And when she died, I tried, Dad. I really tried. But I can't do it. I'm not built for it. Then you should have thought about that before you had children. I was shouting now. You don't get to pick and choose when to be a parent. Those kids didn't ask to be born. They didn't ask for their mother to die. And they certainly didn't ask for their father to abandon them. I'm not abandoning them. They're with you. They're safe. I'm 72 years old, Michael. What happens if something happens to me?
What happens to Emma and Daniel then?
There was silence on the other end of the line. Dad, I gotta go. Tell the kids I love them. He hung up. I stood there in my kitchen, phone in hand, shaking with rage and fear and exhaustion. For the first time since Margaret died, I allowed myself to cry. I cried for my lost retirement, for my grandchildren's lost childhood, for the son I thought I'd raised who had turned into someone I didn't recognize. But most of all, I cried because I knew that no matter how hard it got, no matter how tired I was, no matter how much my body ached or my bank account dwindled, I would never walk away from those kids. Because that's what love looks like. That's what family means. The next morning, Emma found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by legal documents I'd printed from the internet.
What are those, Grandpa?
I'm looking into becoming your legal guardian, I said. That way, I can make all the important decisions for you and your brother. School stuff, medical stuff, all of it. Does that mean Daddy's not coming back? I pulled her onto my lap, something that was getting harder as she got bigger. I don't know what your daddy's going to do, sweetheart. But I do know this. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for you and Daniel every single day. I promise.
I know, she said simply.
You always are. That simple faith, that absolute trust, gave me the strength to keep going. The legal process was complicated and expensive. I had to hire a lawyer, which meant more bills I couldn't afford. But Sarah helped me find a legal aid organization that worked with grandparents in my situation. It turned out I wasn't alone. There were thousands of grandparents across the country raising their grandchildren, picking up the pieces after their own children had failed. Michael had to be notified of the guardianship petition. He had the right to contest it. I waited nervously for his response, half hoping he'd fight for his kids, half terrified of what would happen if he did. His response came via email. Whatever you think is best, Dad. I trust your judgment. He didn't even have the courage to call. 3 months later, I stood in front of a judge with Emma and Daniel beside me. The judge asked me if I understood the responsibility I was taking on. I almost laughed. I'd been living that responsibility for 2 years already.
I understand, Your Honor.
And you're prepared to raise these children until they're adults? I looked down at Emma and Daniel, who were holding my hands tightly. I'd do anything for these kids. The judge smiled. I can see that. Guardianship granted. Just like that, it was official. Emma and Daniel were mine to raise. That night, we celebrated with pizza and ice cream. The kids were happy, secure in the knowledge that they weren't going anywhere. But I lay awake long after they'd gone to bed, staring at the ceiling and wondering if I'd made the right choice. I was 73 years old. Emma wouldn't graduate high school for another 11 years. Daniel for another 13. Would I even live that long? What if I got sick? What if I couldn't take care of them anymore? But then I remembered Emma's smile at her Christmas play. I remembered Daniel's laughter when we played in his fort. I remembered all the small moments that made up our life together, the good days and the bad days and the ordinary days that were somehow extraordinary because we were together. And I knew I'd made the only choice I could live with. Years passed. I got older. My back hurt more. My knees complained every time I climbed the stairs. I needed reading glasses and hearing aids and an afternoon nap just to make it through the day. But Emma and Daniel thrived. Emma made the honor roll every semester. Daniel joined Little League and turned out to be a natural athlete. They made friends and went to birthday parties and slowly, gradually, stopped asking when their father was coming home. Michael sent birthday cards sometimes. He called on major holidays. He never sent enough money to actually help, but he sent enough to ease his conscience. He and Stacy eventually broke up, and he moved on to someone new. Then someone new after that. Meanwhile, I packed school lunches and attended soccer games and helped with science projects. I learned to French braid Emma's hair and how to throw a proper curveball for Daniel. I became the room parent for school parties and the volunteer coach for basketball. The other parents stopped giving me pitying looks. Instead, they included me in their conversations, invited me to their cookouts, treated me like what I was, a parent, just like them. One day, when Emma was 15 and Daniel was 13, we were eating dinner when Emma said, "Grandpa, I've been thinking about colleges." Colleges. My granddaughter was thinking about colleges. That's wonderful, honey. Where are you thinking about applying? Well, there are some good schools nearby. I could commute from home, save money on room and board. I understood what she wasn't saying. She was worried about leaving me alone. She was worried about what would happen to Daniel if she left. Emma, look at me. You're going to apply to the best schools you can get into, and you're going to go wherever you want to go.
Daniel and I will be just fine.
But Grandpa, no buts. You've got your whole life ahead of you. I didn't raise you to play it safe because you're worried about an old man. She smiled, but I could see the tears in her eyes. You're not just an old man. You're my grandpa. You're my dad. And there it was, the word she'd been dancing around for years. Dad. Michael called that week. It had been 6 months since the last time. Hey Dad, how are the kids? Your daughter is applying to colleges, I said. Your son just won the MVP award for his baseball team. They're doing great, no thanks to you.
Dad, don't start.
You know what, Michael? I'm done. I'm done being angry at you. I'm done expecting you to be someone you're clearly not. Emma and Daniel are my kids now. They have been for years. You're just the man who shares their DNA.
That's not fair.
Fair. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. What's not fair is that I'm 78 years old and I still can't retire because I'm raising your children. What's not fair is that Emma is going to have her grandpa walk her down the aisle someday instead of her father. What's not fair is that Daniel doesn't even remember what you look like unless I show him a picture. Michael was quiet for a long moment. I know I messed up, Dad. I know I'm not Father of the Year. But I do love my kids. Love isn't enough, Michael. Love is what you do, not what you feel. And you haven't done anything for these kids in years. After I hung up, Emma came downstairs. She'd heard the conversation. You didn't have to do that, she said.
Defend us like that.
Yes, I did. Because you're my kids, and that's what parents do. She hugged me then, this teenage girl who was taller than me now, who was smarter than I'd ever been, who had survived loss and abandonment and come out stronger on the other side. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too, sweetheart. Emma got into 3 colleges. She chose one an hour away, close enough to visit on weekends but far enough to have her own life. The day I dropped her off at her dorm, I cried the whole drive home. Daniel, now a sophomore in high school, was waiting for me in the driveway. You okay, Grandpa? Yeah, buddy.
Just got something in my eye.
Both eyes.
I laughed and ruffled his hair.
Both eyes. Life got quieter with just the 2 of us. Daniel and I fell into our own rhythm. We watched sports together, made terrible dinners together, and slowly worked our way through my bucket list of classic movies he'd never seen. One evening, Daniel looked up from his homework and said, Grandpa, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever regret it?
Taking care of us instead of doing all the things you wanted to do.
I set down my newspaper and looked at my grandson, this young man who was becoming more impressive every day. Daniel, before you and Emma came to live with me, I was lonely. I had all the freedom in the world, but nothing to do with it. You know what I learned? Freedom without purpose is just emptiness. You and Emma gave me purpose. You gave me a reason to get up every morning. So no, I don't regret it. Not for 1 second.
Even though Dad just left us here?
Especially because of that. Your father made a lot of mistakes, but the biggest one was walking away from the best thing that ever happened to him. These last few years, raising you and Emma, have been the best years of my life. Daniel smiled. Mine too, Grandpa. Michael called a week before Emma's college graduation. I almost didn't answer. Dad, I want to come to Emma's graduation.
I want to be there.
After 6 years, now you want to be there?
She's my daughter.
No, Michael. I'm her father.
You're just the man who wasn't there.
I hung up, but Emma called him back. Because despite everything, despite all the years of absence and broken promises, she still wanted her father at her graduation. I didn't understand it, but I supported her choice. On graduation day, I sat in the bleachers watching Emma walk across the stage. She'd graduated summa cum laude, with a degree in engineering and a job already lined up at a major tech company. I was so proud I thought my heart might explode. Michael sat next to me. We hadn't spoken beyond a stiff hello. When Emma's name was called, we both stood up and cheered. After the ceremony, Emma came running over, her cap askew and her eyes shining. She hugged Michael first. Thanks for coming, Dad. Then she turned to me, and the look in her eyes said everything. Grandpa, I couldn't have done any of this without you. Everything I am, everything I've accomplished, it's because you believed in me. I just gave you a place to sleep and food to eat, I said, my voice thick with emotion.
You did all the hard work.
You gave me so much more than that. You gave me a home. You gave me love. You gave me a chance. At the graduation party that night, Michael pulled me aside. Dad, I owe you an apology. Actually, I owe you about 1,000,000 apologies. I was selfish and stupid, and I abandoned my kids when they needed me most. You stepped up when I ran away. You gave them the life they deserved. I can never repay you for that. I looked at my son, this middle-aged man who looked so much older than his years. You're right, you can never repay me. But you can be there for them now.
It's not too late to be their father. I don't know how.
You start by showing up. Consistently. You call them not when you remember, but on a schedule. You ask about their lives and actually listen to the answers. You put them first, even when it's inconvenient.
That's how you be a father.
Michael nodded, tears in his eyes. I'll try.
I promise I'll try.
I wanted to believe him, but promises from Michael had proven worthless over the years. Still, something had changed in him. Maybe it was seeing Emma all grown up. Maybe it was realizing how much time he'd lost. Whatever it was, he started calling more regularly. He came to visit Daniel's games. He sent money without being asked. It wasn't enough to make up for the lost years. Nothing could do that. But it was something. Daniel graduated high school with a baseball scholarship to a state university. At his graduation party, he gave a speech that had everyone in tears. I want to thank my grandpa, he said, looking right at me. When I was 5 years old, my mom died and my dad left, and I thought my whole world was ending. But then Grandpa was there, and he caught me. He's been catching me ever since. Grandpa, you taught me what it means to be a man. Not by telling me, but by showing me every single day. You showed me that being a man means showing up, even when it's hard. It means keeping your promises. It means loving the people in your life with everything you have. I love you, Grandpa. Thank you for being my hero. I couldn't speak. I just stood up and hugged my grandson while everyone applauded. That night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on my back porch and looked up at the stars. Margaret's chair sat empty beside mine, like it had for 15 years. We did it, Maggie, I whispered to the night sky. We raised them right. I could almost hear her response. You did it, love. All you. I'm 84 years old now. My body is failing in a dozen different ways. I need a cane to walk and pills to remember to take my pills. But Emma and Daniel are thriving. Emma is engaged to a wonderful man and already talking about when she'll have kids of her own. Daniel is in his senior year, already being scouted by major league teams. They call me every day. They visit every weekend. They take care of me the way I took care of them, with love and patience and gratitude. Michael is in their lives now, really in their lives, in a way he never was before. It took him almost 15 years, but he finally learned what it means to be a father. Better late than never, I suppose. Last week, Emma came over with wedding magazines. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten 1,000 meals together, and looked at flower arrangements and cake designs. "Grandpa," she said suddenly, "I want you to walk me down the aisle." "Sweetheart, your father is alive. Shouldn't he?" "No," she said firmly. "You're my dad. You're the one who raised me. You're the one who was there for every important moment of my life. It should be you." I tried to argue, but she wouldn't hear it. And truthfully, I didn't want to argue too hard, because walking Emma down the aisle at her wedding would be one of the greatest honors of my life. Sometimes, late at night, I think back to that day when Michael laughed and said, "I'm going to live my life and you take care of my kids. That's the rule." He was right about one thing. I did take care of his kids. But they weren't his kids anymore. They were mine. And that's not a rule. That's love.